So let's jump in to that topic. Facundo, you said you had some questions, so let's hear it.
Yeah, I thought the 5-1-3 after the Casemiro second yellow was a bit questionable even if it was just 15 minutes.
That was
but
crazy.
Even then, the shape off the ball in the last 30 minutes was extremely questionable. Like, I just did not really understand it. And then he still made a center back substitution when at the point of the match that he typically does. But yeah, maybe it's the players. I just think structurally, like, what are you doing when you go down a man? You're legitimately playing a 5-1-3, and you were letting Chelsea back in the match when they had no business being anywhere in it. And yeah, I don't know. I thought they kind of let Chelsea get confidence in the second half. Granted, it's more even 10v10, but yeah, I don't think he even did himself any favors, even though he did get a win. Maybe it buys him sometimes, but I don't think he's kind of really learned anything at all, and he's not really adapting. And I mean, you're not really going to be in a position if you fire him or not. It's kind of the same result at the end of the season, so maybe you just stick it out and you kind of see what he does. But the unwillingness or whatever, right? The inability to change is kind of shocking. Right, but fair play. He finally got a result.
Yeah, I do agree with that, just because I think our attacking threat was so neutralized due to our own substitutions. Like, we were playing a 5-3-1. We had three in the middle. We had wing backs, and we had João Pedro all by himself. He had all these great looking half turns throughout the game, but no one anywhere near him. And I think it was nice to see Reece James running up and down the flank, putting in crosses. That was our big threat the entire second half, because the way we set up. We didn't predict another red card to even the game out. So we were fully relying on Cucurella and Reece James to get forward and still be able to get back. So I think, to more Facundo's point, that also played a part in us not being able to threaten the way we would have liked to. I think we handicapped ourselves structurally. And I think, again, Facundo's point, when they came out in the second half with that 5-1-3 with Bruno as the one in the middle, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, we need to get on it now, before he realizes he forgot to do a sub. It's like a FIFA game. And then he went to the bathroom at halftime and forgot about a red card. I was shocked that he came out like that. So, yeah, I guess I tend to lean more towards Facundo's thoughts there.
I think Amorim is the only manager currently in the Premier League that can get shit for coaching a win and them getting a win. He managed a win, and they won. And I think that's at some point you have to.
We got a red card 5 minutes in.
Yeah, and guess what? He coached the game plan to go long to C.O.C, and it worked. United have been good in games, United have been good in games in the beginning of matches. And part of the control aspect is if you can score early in matches, you change the match. Just because they got a red card and changed the match doesn't mean that he doesn't get credit for that. I think that's
gets credit for Robert Sanchez being Robert Sanchez. Are you saying like that he gets credit for that play?
I think
what manager gets credit for that?
The game plan was to go long, find C.O.C, and flick it in behind him, boom,
and hope Sanchez does that.
We talked about it in the preview. We talked about it in the preview that United needed to make Chelsea's defenders make decisions. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they did. And look, if Casemiro...
First time it happened, best case scenario is what you're saying. It worked perfectly.
Right, but in every match, United has had chances to do that in the beginning of matches and hasn't taken it. That's not Amorim's fault. He coaches at least portions of matches where I'm like, okay, I get it. And I see what's happening. Now, does it fall off the wayside? Has his subs been not great? Sure. And he gets flack for it. But look, we're level on points with City. And if hindsight wasn't a bitch, like, I think in the first match week, we talked about it with Amorim. Like, they play Arsenal, City, and Chelsea in the first 5 matches. How many points are United realistically picking up here?
They have way more than I thought they would, to your point.
They have way more than you thought they would. The Grimsby loss is unacceptable. And so I understand people being swayed by that.
What it was.
I'm only focusing on the Premier League. I've been very I narrowed my focus in on just this is what they need to do. If they can pick up points in the Premier League and get themselves back into a spot where they can figure it out, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. And look, I'm not gonna get on Amorim in this game. Ugarte comes on in the 46th minute. So it was just after that, which I thought was ludicrous not to put on Ugarte just in the aftermath. That should have been the first sub. Waiting that long was leaving the door open. But like I said, Chelsea had an XG of 0.4. And it came when it was 10 on 10. It wasn't when it
Because
was.
of our setup, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
but
think that's
you guys
Mo gets
just for
credit for
the
that.
last 30 minutes gave Pep credit for coaching a game in which they
Well,
were in the lead and then they sat back. That's exactly what United did.
so
Against the
here's
10 on 10, Chelsea are a better side. You said that in our text thread. You're like 10 on
Absolutely.
10, we should have chances here. United didn't really give them chances unless it was off a set
Because
piece.
we had 3 center backs, Reece James and Cucurella bombing up and down, Pedro by himself. In my opinion, that's
I
what's more
agree with Grant.
responsible than
But
Amorim neutralizing our attack.
So Amorim's
To
not
your-
allowed to tactically go look at the lineup after Maresca's made 3 subs in 20 minutes, all being defensive and going, well, he's played his card here. So I'm just going to sit back defensively. Let us pick up a win, an important because we're not a better team with them 10 on 10. And Casemiro has been one of our best midfield players.
I think the 10 out there and the 10
fair,
that we had out there.
Fair enough. But if part of the time that you're playing 10v10, you're playing 5-1-3, you're asking for trouble in my right. Like I don't disagree with you. I think there were so many times where, especially with Ahmad or anyone, the decision in the final third for the ability to go up 3-0, 4-0, whatever it was, and just end the game. That's on the players, right? Maresca got it wrong, but in my opinion, Ruben got it so bad that they let a bad Chelsea team back into the match when they had no business being anywhere near it. Pep, I understand why you're going into a defensive shell. You're up 1-0 away from home. You're United up 2-0 at home with a defensive setup for Chelsea. In my opinion, if you're going to ask me, if this turns into a basketball game, who's going to score more goals? I'm going to tell you United. Because Chelsea didn't have any attacking options as an alternative. Well, they did, and they didn't use them. They used Tyreek George, who Grant wanted over a left winger.
Well, we got both.
So, yeah, but I think that's where I'm like, granted, you got to win. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's 3 points against a good team, right? I just think all things considered, once you're up 2-0, granted, the players should have done better to just put the game to bed anyways. So I don't disagree with that. And part of the coaching there is helping them create these many chances. I just think there's another side of the game. And granted, you're going to say it was a defensive lineup. Sure. You're not great defensively, especially when you're playing with one person in midfield or whatever the hell it is that you're doing in midfield in front of your back five. You're not particularly good at that. So maybe don't do that and try and get a third. And then the game is actually over because Chelsea doesn't have a way to come back from that. But if you're going to let them start playing, that's a bad decision in my opinion. But I don't necessarily think Maresca's more at fault for this game than Ruben is. Ruben ended up getting the W, but I think if you play that game another 10 minutes, Maresca probably finds a way to equalize.
So essentially you're saying Ruben opened the door to let Maresca come back instead of the easy, simple decision in your eyes where it's just, why aren't you just shutting this down?
Yeah, let's just say, right, and it's a hypothetical, so it doesn't necessarily matter.
Sure.
But I think if Chelsea doesn't waste all of their attacking substitutions, then I understand the game plan a little bit more. But Chelsea wasting all of their attacking substitutions, and now you're giving them a lifeline, I don't get the risk reward there. But it's 3 points. Doesn't really matter. You guys created a lot of chances. You were on top of them in the first 5 minutes, even before the red card.
3 minutes and 40 seconds.
I think Maresca had more of a howler than Ruben did. I thought Ruben did okay. It was just I didn't like some of the stuff in the second half. But if you get 3 points, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Yeah, I don't. That's my thing is like, yeah, in theory, the idea of United going and getting a third is awesome. Like that's sure, but even when it was 10 on 10 and the subs that were made, Grant was still saying we are a better side than United. That was the statement that was said by a Chelsea fan this whole time. We were talking about how Chelsea are a better side. And even after
stopped watching at halftime.
Yeah, but
I did not.
it's
So
I was
so
close. I
he
was
actually
super
had zero.
close.
He had zero faith in his team.
Oh, dude, I was like 2 minutes away. If that red card didn't happen, bro, TV off.
it's
But because it was
I-
it was horrific. It was absolutely horrific.
yeah,
It was
and
terrible. Our
so
setup,
like
the whole was awful. It
and that's
was
what I'm saying. Like
impossible to
we
watch.
were on you guys from the jump. It was this is something United has done, and I think
I
Amram
think it
should
was
get
more
credit for that.
self-inflicted. If I had to, I'm
So then
biased, so that has
why
to be
doesn't
said.
Amram get this self-inflicted stuff too? Because Casemiro gets a red card when he shouldn't have. We were up a man. I just feel like the critical nature on Amram is just critical because
Well, I think it's
the
because
numbers
he
aren't good.
finished in 15th and he lost the cup final to 17th,
sure.
and then he lost to Grimsby Town. I think that's why. I don't think
Sure.
it's this. I think he's earned that reputation. It's unfair, but I think he's earned it.
Yeah, he also got one signing before that and was given the worst United team in history. And now
Agreed. It's not
out of
all
this,
his
it's
fault.
like,
I
yeah,
100% agree. I think both are true. This is not his fault. I also don't think he's the guy for it.
he might not be, but
There's a
like
lot of people to blame.
these are the matches
There's
where
other people just more blame.
yeah, these are the
is that
matches where you have to pick up points, right? Like United needed a win, they got a win. He should get
You're
credit for
saying
that.
he deserves the credit for fuck the logic, get the points, get out.
Yeah,
Because we give credit all the
absolutely.
time for that.
Absolutely.
I think the
Arteta got
difference
it in the
is
first match against a shit
Arteta's
United
competing at the
side.
top end. I think that's the difference. Maybe Facundo has a different perspective. Maybe I'm
United
just trying to
cannot
rationalize it.
but
I agree. I don't disagree with Dylan, considering they literally not won half their matches since he's been there. So he's getting a win. So right, like if we're gonna bitch
He's
about
won a quarter of
them
them.
looking like shit and not winning, at least they look slightly better and did get
You
a
can't
win.
win in the
But
media.
I don't
for
necessarily
sure.
think that is. I don't view United any differently because of that game.
we will only start to view United differently if they can stack wins. That was the first
Should
time
not
under
done.
Amorim they've won back-to-back home matches, which is a crazy stat.
They
But
need to go dig up
you
that
gotta
witch
start
or
building.
cat that's buried under the turf, bro.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done. I think it's because I think it's starting to affect us now. It's been 12 years. We have not won
Look,
at that ground.
I can't go and tell you that the next game against I think it's Brentford, that United are gonna go and win that match. Right? It's away from home. I can't tell you that. But if they do, and then they go and beat Sunderland, that's 4 wins in their last 5 matches, and you can start
The
to build
hair.
off something.
The guy's hair.
We play Liverpool after that, so I'm not too, and it's away from home, so I'm not like too ecstatic for that guy. I don't think that's going to come here, but you have to start building progression somewhere. And
You're
I just
right.
feel
There's
like
something. You got to get
we're
something. Small
we're level
victories.
on
I've always
points for
said that.
City.
I've
We're
always
a
said small
point back
victories.
of Chelsea.
You're not wrong.
we're
When you
3
said that,
points back
I
of
thought you were
Arsenal.
lying, but I know you're not lying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's shocking. I guess to me, the table's lying in that sense. I always say the table never lies. That doesn't feel right based on what I've watched. I'm also very biased. I love seeing your team do what we did a few years ago. So I think you have a point, but yeah, I think that criticism in terms of being able to get the points, I expect that from a team who's one step away, and they need to be able to do that. For United, I think they're so early along in the process that it's
You
like
gotta grow.
to Facundo's
Yeah.
point, I don't give a shit. Like it doesn't really.
Yeah,
you guys
maybe
don't
it's
have
because
any semblance of anything.
it's my team in the shitter, and I've gone through this awful recurring theme
Oh, it's
over and over
horrific, dude.
again.
Yeah.
And so it's like at some point you just got to be positive with the positives and roll
I
with.
always did tell you that, Dylan. You need to take small victories. So I think you know what you are right in that sense.
If they lose
it
this
Don't
is a
match,
do it.
small victory.
if
Don't
you
do
lose
it.
this match, what
Can you let me
happens?
set him up?
They
I'm telling it doesn't. I don't. I think in the grand scheme of how much you've seen, I don't think this really changes anybody's opinion of
No,
what
I
you
agree.
have seen. Now it's a win. Bizarre game, like super bizarre game. So you right, but I don't think you've seen tweaks and that has made you start to believe that things are going to change. It's a good win. If you keep winning, it doesn't necessarily matter how you play, but I do think how you play dictates where you finish in the league. But we're 5 weeks in, 6 match weeks in. I had United finishing in the top 6. So like this team is good enough to be able to do that. I don't think you have the correct manager for it unless he changes formations.
I think if they just start putting away chances, we flipped the script on what the thought process is on Amorim because they
Yeah,
lead the
but I
league
also think
in
you're really
XG,
easy to
which
score against.
because of which reasons? Individual
Mhm.
errors and set pieces. So if you can fix, I think set pieces are a fixable
Structural
thing.
issues are, I think, more telling. The fact that you have 2 in midfield and anybody can counter against you is when you
Yeah.
don't have runners. You have Bruno as one of those pivots in midfield who's letting everybody run by him. Like, I don't disagree with you. You're bad on set pieces. That's part of coaching it out of you. You're also really bad in transition and structural shape. That's coaching. The lack of finishing chances, that's on the players. And as you start to create more chances, it'll go back into the middle and you'll start scoring more. But I think if you're United and you're getting into these basketball games, yeah, you can have the faith that you'll score more than the other team. But you're United. Why are you giving up countless chances that you don't need to be giving up? I think this team is good enough to, like, you're wanting to see this team do more of control the game. I think you're capable of doing that. I just think structural issues prevent you from taking more control of the game.
And that's fair. I totally understand everyone's opinion on the midfield. I'm not sold on it either, but I also think it's overblown. I that's where I'm at. I just think that look, I know a bunch of teams in world football that play that style. Liverpool do it every single week in terms of playing basketball matches. They just do it to a better and more clinical attempt, right?
Because they
Look,
can control periods of a game, which is what you're yearning for. I think it's because partly the quality, but I guess looks like Facundo had something to say, maybe structurally as well.
I don't think you have Van Dijk and Kanate, and I don't think you have Allison, and I don't think you
no,
have the
maybe not.
runners that Liverpool has. So for me, I think that is the difference. Liverpool have also won winning basketball games. You have not won basketball games. You lose a lot of basketball games.
You gotta win them at some point, right? That would
Yeah,
be
you just need the
my
best
biggest
keeper in the
critique.
world.
You gotta win them at some point. But I mean, look, United dominated a midfield battle with Zubamendi and Rice and Marino. So you guys didn't do anything in that match. Chelsea's midfield really didn't do anything with 10 men in this match.
Because there was no one to play it forward
Yeah,
to.
I mean, I'm
think
not
that's the
I'm not
major
trying to rain on
mistake.
your parade. I'm not trying to rain on your parade because I don't disagree with you. You've played better against good teams. I think that's the worst Arsenal game I've ever watched us play in years. Chelsea gets a red card in 5 minutes. Like there's context to it, but I don't
Yeah.
necessarily disagree with your point. Even I think 11v11, you probably create enough chances to say that you should have gotten more than what you got. Especially in our game, you got to win this game. But I also think City let you have the ball for a reason.
Sure, but City let you guys have the ball for a reason too. Like that's I think
Yeah,
this
because we
you're just
suck
looking at
going
styles.
It's two different reasons.
So I don't know. I just feel like it's overblown. I think a lot of it's overblown because it is United and because of the precedent that has been set in his tenure. I just want to give him the time to see if it'll actually work. I just don't really. I didn't look at what he did last year in any match and think like United would have been better off with another manager regardless. Like they were pretty shit with Ten Hag. They were shit with him. I just want to look at this.
Look what just happened to Ten Hag though. He's that bad too, in theory.
No, they sacked him because he wanted to bring in all of his guys. That had nothing to do with the managerial thing. Yeah, but that's you don't sack a manager after 2 years unless it's a difference in terms of you want to bring in all your guys. It's a back staff thing. Like, and I get it. And look, you guys have every right to be cynical against United. They haven't given you anything to be optimistic.
I'll stay that way, Dylan. You can count on
your
it.
rivals. I am going to be positive, and I'm going to be maybe overly positive because there's nothing else I can do.
Discussion. It
There's
gives us
nothing else
good things to talk about.
That's true. We're running